Imagine waking up and discovering that today, you only get one meal, no cozy breakfast, no lunch to rescue you from afternoon boredom, no random snacks you swear you're not really hungry for, just one single glorious plate of food. Sounds dramatic, right? Most people picture themselves collapsing somewhere between 10 a.m. and despair. But here's the fun twist. Your body is far less fragile and far more interesting than you think. We've been told our whole lives that skipping meals will turn our metabolism into a sad campfire struggling in the rain. But science has been quietly raising its hand saying, that's not exactly how this works. In fact, eating only once a day sets off a surprising chain reaction that touches everything from your hormones to your mitochondria, the tiny power plants that never get a day off. So, what actually happens when you ditch the usual breakfast, lunch, dinner routine? In the next sections, we're going to dig into the biology, the surprises, the benefits, and even the moments when your body throws a tiny tantrum, all with a little humor and a lot of science. The first few hours of eating only once a day feel a bit like your body staging a small protest. Not a dramatic Hollywood-style collapse, more like your stomach politely clearing its throat every 5 minutes, hoping you'll take the hint. This is when the hormone ghrelin steps into the spotlight. Ghrelin is basically your internal, "Hey, is lunch soon?" messenger, and when you skip your usual meals, it starts knocking on your brain's door with increasing enthusiasm. But here's the funny part. Ghrelin doesn't actually mean you're in danger. It just means your body is confused. You've trained it to expect food at specific times every day, like a dog that sits by the bowl at 6 p.m. sharp. Not because it's starving, but because that's what always happens. So when the schedule changes, your biology goes, "Wait, hold on, where's the appetizer?" Your blood sugar follows the same pattern. It dips slightly, enough to make you feel a bit unfocused or dramatic, but nothing dangerous. Behind the scenes, your liver calmly releases stored glucose to keep you steady. The body has backup plans, and then backup plans for those backup plans. Then something surprising happens. After a few hours, the growling settles down. Ghrelin stops acting like it's auditioning for a role in a survival documentary, and your brain starts to feel clearer. This is your biology adapting, faster than most people expect. The initial panic fades because your body realizes you're not in trouble. You're just not eating yet. Evolution designed humans to withstand food gaps, not crumble at the absence of a sandwich. This early phase is a reminder of how much of our hunger is a habit dressed up as an emergency. And once your body recognizes that breakfast isn't coming, it stops complaining and starts preparing for something far more interesting. Once your body realizes that food isn't arriving on its usual schedule, it quietly flips a very old biological switch, one your ancient ancestors relied on long before kitchen timers and lunch breaks existed. Scientists call this shift metabolic switching, but you can think of it as your body saying, "All right, time to run on internal fuel." At first, your cells use whatever stored glucose is left in your bloodstream, but that supply doesn't last long, so the liver steps in and releases glycogen, essentially your emergency sugar savings account. And right when that begins to run low, the body does something remarkable. It transitions from sugar-burning mode to fat-burning mode. It's the metabolic equivalent of switching from gasoline to a cleaner, more efficient hybrid engine. Your insulin levels start to drop too, which is great news. When insulin stays high all day from constant eating, your body is stuck in storage mode. But when you eat once a day, insulin finally gets some rest. Lower insulin tells your cells, "We're no longer storing energy, let's start using it." This improves insulin sensitivity, reduces inflammation, and opens the door for cellular repair. Deep inside your cells, another set of heroes wakes up, the mitochondria, your personal microscopic power plants. When they receive fewer sugar spikes and more steady fat-based fuel, they become more efficient, producing cleaner energy and fewer free radicals. Scientists often describe this shift as an upgrade in energy quality, and people experiencing it for the first time describe it as a surprising mental clarity. And then there's ketones. When fat becomes your main fuel, your liver produces ketone bodies, tiny molecules that act like premium-grade brain fuel. They burn clean, they stabilize energy, and they often leave people feeling more focused than they expected. This is why many people practicing one-meal-a-day routines report increased alertness instead of sluggishness. None of this is extreme or unnatural. It's biology doing exactly what it was designed to do during periods without food. The real surprise is how quickly the body adapts once we stop feeding it every few hours. And this metabolic rewiring sets the stage for an even stranger phenomenon, the moment when your body starts pushing back a little too enthusiastically. Just when your body is finally settling into its new fat-burning groove, something funny can happen. It overreacts a little, not dangerously, more like a well-meaning friend who tries too hard. This is the phase when people often say, "Why do I suddenly feel tired or cranky?" Or, "like I could happily fight a refrigerator for a slice of bread." Here's what's happening. As insulin drops and fat metabolism speeds up, your nervous system sometimes interprets the shift as a mild stress signal. It's not actual danger, but your biology hasn't attended a modern science class, so it briefly reacts the way humans did thousands of years ago, with a touch of irritability and a strong desire to hunt down something edible, preferably quickly. You may also experience lightheaded moments, not because you're starving, but because your electrolytes are recalibrating. When insulin goes down, your kidneys release more fluid and sodium. Think of it as your body tidying up its internal storage closet, but occasionally throwing out something you still needed. Meanwhile, your digestive hormones are trying to figure out what's going on. Leptin, the hormone that signals fullness, gets a little confused. Ghrelin, the hunger messenger, can randomly spike like a toddler asking for snacks even after eating. And your brain, missing its usual dopamine bumps from eating throughout the day, sometimes complains, "Hey, where are my little pleasure rewards?" This is why some people experience the infamous keto flu. Not an illness, just your system adjusting. A bit of fatigue, some mood swings, maybe a dramatic sigh or two. It's your body testing its new energy strategy and occasionally pressing the wrong buttons. Even emotionally, the shift can feel odd. Food is comfort, routine, and habit. And removing those automatic cues can feel like breaking up with a schedule you didn't realize you were dating. But none of this is a sign that the system is failing. It's just biology learning a new rhythm. The good news? Once your body finishes this little overreaction phase, something much more impressive starts to happen. A return to balance that's far smoother than most people expect. After the brief drama of complaints, cravings, and questionable mood swings, your body eventually takes a deep breath and says, "All right, let's do this properly." This is when the real magic of eating once a day starts to show. The chaos settles, the hormones stop panicking, and your biology begins working like it remembers exactly what it was built for. The first big shift happens with your hunger hormones. Ghrelin, previously shouting like an enthusiastic alarm clock, learns to relax. Its spikes become smaller, steadier, and more predictable. You stop feeling those random, "I need food now" waves because your body finally realizes there's a new schedule, and it's not an emergency. Your blood sugar stabilizes too. Without constant food entering the system, there are no more roller coaster highs and crashes. Your liver, now fully in sync, releases just the right amount of glucose when needed. Instead of chaos, you get a smooth, calm line of energy that feels surprisingly sustainable. Then comes one of the most fascinating parts. Your mitochondria adjust to the new routine. They become more efficient at producing energy from fat and ketones, and less dependent on sugar spikes. Many people describe this period as entering steady mode. Consistent focus, sustained energy, fewer slumps. Meanwhile, your cells begin to clean up. Autophagy, the recycling process inside your body, quietly becomes more active. Damaged proteins get broken down, worn-out cell parts get repaired, and your system works like it's finally catching up on maintenance it's been postponing for years. Even mentally, things start to shift. The brain gets used to fewer dopamine hits from snacking and instead becomes more stable, less impulsive, more focused. The emotional fog from constant hunger signals clears. Eating stops feeling like a countdown, and more like a daily ritual worth appreciating. At this point, your body isn't fighting the process anymore. It's embracing it. And now that balance is restored, one final question remains. What does all this mean for your long-term health? When the body finally settles into the rhythm of eating once a day, something becomes clear. This isn't a story about deprivation. It's a story about rediscovery. You've watched your hormones adapt, your metabolism switch gears, your cells dive into repair mode, and your brain learn to stay sharp without constant snack breaks. It turns out the human body isn't fragile at all. It's adaptable, clever, and far more patient than our modern habits give it credit for. But like any scientific tool, eating once a day isn't magic and it isn't universal. Some people thrive on it, others feel worse. Biology is personal, which is why listening to your own signals, the real ones, not the ones triggered by routine, matters more than any rigid rule. At the end of the day, fasting isn't about punishing your body. It's about giving it time to breathe, repair, and operate the way evolution intended. And whether you try one meal a day or simply explore fasting gently, the journey teaches one powerful truth. The body works best when we give it space to do what it already knows. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to HealthSketch so you can finally understand your body for real.